I would break my neck.
They're actually really comfortable and easy to walk around.
So I'll just wait till 11 and then it'll go, right? Okay, perfect.
Yeah, I definitely wait a couple more minutes.
Yeah, it's not, I did some with Wells Fargo last week and I had my phone, 2 phones, my truck, and I'm like, which time is it? So I just signed in early, so I'm just like, okay. So we'll, yeah, my clock says 10:54. Is that about what yours says?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect.
You want this back here?
You know what, we'll just sit right there and yeah, that'll work. Will it work?
Yeah, I'll take that one.
Oh, so it's that one.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Alright.
Alright, good. So I was asking these ladies, they're new, are you a new agent? Or
Yes.
just how long have you been doing it?
Since May 1st, so
Oh, good, brand new.
not even a month.
Good.
Yeah.
Awesome, congratulations.
Thank you.
That's awesome.
So I don't forget what I'm doing half the time. I'm just faking it so I make it.
That's okay.
That's
What they said
That's
to do.
okay.
That's what
Yeah,
all my team leader says.
absolutely.
Make it until you
I'm
make it.
almost 2 years in and I still do that. So
Look at
it's
it.
fine.
So I've done 3
I'm
open
good.
houses now, and when people come in and ask questions about the property, I'm like, that's a great question. I don't know the answer to that, but I will check with the
And that's
listing agent.
completely okay.
Yeah. But I say that a lot.
That's okay. Until you know when you can fake it and when you're like, hey, I really need to look that up and get you a specific answer.
Right,
So,
right, yeah.
good, awesome. I don't know if we're gonna have any other people, so I've done probably in 3.5 years 700 projects like this. So it's kind of created just to help y'all like be a little resource for you so that you can say, I know the answer to that, let me get back to you. All right.
Yeah.
So and it's mostly pictures and stuff, so we'll just wait until we get going. I'm here to help. That's what we do. Kind of a crazy market to be a new agent too.
I know.
Well, yeah, I had hoped to get started sooner, but then.
But it's a great way, I mean, it's a great place to be
Yeah.
Mhm.
a new role, because people are always gonna be selling houses
Right,
and buying houses.
right.
It just is.
Yeah, I hope to get started a little bit earlier in the spring, but life just happens, and so I just gotta roll with the flow and do your best. My daughter has her end of season dance recital tonight, and so I'll be home later this afternoon, but this is when we fight because she doesn't want me to help her with her hair and her makeup. And then we leave tomorrow to go on a 10-day vacation that we've been planning for a year, so. Yeah, work, what? Okay, I guess I'll do that. Yeah, in 2 weeks. Are you guys hot?
But you can do whatever you need to do.
So you can see on Zoom if somebody joins in, right?
I think so.
And we're the only participants, so.
Yeah.
Good morning, how are you? Good, how are you? Good.
the door. Sorry.
Yeah.
Shall we start?
Sure, yeah.
Okay. So I'm Lisa Malvia. I've been a partner with Keller Williams about 3 years.
Okay.
Been doing this for about 3.5 years, and I'll tell you kind of how I got into it. So typically you'll see vendors come to, like, that sponsor this office will come to the weekly meetings. I don't really come to the weekly meetings. I just can't afford that time.
Sure.
But I come when I sponsor the meetings, and then also we it's all need for more in-depth kind of training and exposure. So that's kind of how we're putting this together. So know that I'm gonna walk you through a lot of pictures and kind of the process that we use, but my goal is to help you sell the house faster and help you get clients to a place where they're ready to sell. As opposed to you diving in and doing work that doesn't fit into your commission schedule, right? So, so all these pictures I'll go through. So like this is showing like a mess of a house, and it's empty, ready to sell, and it's clean. And so that's part of what I'm going to be showing you, is because from COVID standpoint, I saw like, people didn't want to come look if somebody was in the house because they didn't know what had been going on. And so there was less staging and more just empty clean house. So good morning, come on in. We're just getting started.
Okay.
I just closed the door so that my loudmouth didn't get in the way. Okay, so the goal of this was to get homes ready and sold faster and increase your knowledge, because you're the agent, right? And I'm going to show you kind of all the things that we bring you through. Hi, come on in. We're just getting started.
All right.
So I'm here to help you understand our work and what we do, so that you're more knowledgeable and you're not having to answer that question, like, oh my gosh, what do I go do? Understand the resources available and help you reduce your work, because you guys get caught in a lot of things, and it's like that just takes away from you selling other houses. So I'm showing you ways to do that, and I'll answer any questions that you have either at the end or along the way. I've pretty much seen it all. I'm not afraid of anything after doing 700 houses in 3.5 years. The big thing that I say to clients all the time is the house is the asset, the market determines the value. The house is the asset. So you're gonna hear me talking about we sell stuff, but the house is the asset. I mean, that's really, people love their stuff, and they'll always tell me, or they'll tell you, well, I paid $5,000 for that piece of furniture, blah, blah, blah. Like the house is the asset. The other thing that I wanted to think about, so we do all kinds of stuff in the house. I mean, we will help people pack and unpack and move. That's about half of our business. And I'll talk about that, but mostly it's putting a plan together and selling a bunch of stuff out of the house so that you can sell the house. Okay, that's what this is all about, is helping you sell the house. Now we'll tell you how about carrying transitions and kind of how I got into the business. So relocations, right sizing, online estate sales, and cleanouts. That's kind of really our, we'll put arms around everything. We market to senior communities, like a retirement community where people have like independent living, assisted living, memory care. Because those are buildings, like in this general area, there's probably 70 buildings like that, and I've worked in all of them. For you, you're gonna have, and this is why this is important, because people say, oh, well, Lisa she works with seniors. Well, we market to seniors, but every project I've done, there's always kids involved. And the reason that's good for you is because the kids become future clients for you. And sometimes the parents have multiple properties, and that's good for you too. So you'll hear me talk about a lot of seniors because we're downsizing them into a building that can't handle the house anymore. They don't want to do the house, but I have had in those 700 projects, probably 30 to 40% of them are people my age, our age, And they're like, well, will you do what you did for my parents for me? Yes, of course. Hey, we're moving to Florida and we don't want to take anything with us. Okay, great. We'll help you out. So we are a franchise nationally. So good morning, come on in. So there are 280 owners nationally. And I got into this business, so I spent 35 years in corporate America. Procter & Gamble, Clorox, private equity consulting, and my mother had Alzheimer's and my dad had vascular dementia. So I really got into when we finally got them out of their houses and were into independent living and over into memory care. I went through that journey, and so I said, I've got to figure out a way to help people through this, help the kids through it, help the people through it. So I sought out Caring Transitions and became an owner here in this area. So we've done nationally tons of projects. I get a lot of people that, they work here, mom lives in Virginia and they're moving mom here. And so that's how kind of some of this plays into play. So as I said, we've done 700 projects in 3.5 years. We do state to state stuff. This becomes really important right in here, and I'll talk about this. When we sell things, because I know y'all probably had exposure to the traditional estate sale. I'm going to talk to you about why I do mine online and how that's better for your client versus the physical estate sale. But nationally, we have about 540,000 bidders. Nationally, we've done 5,300 online estate sales just in the last 12 months. And so we have a following, and when we market our estate sales online, we market to our local followers, our national followers, and then to collectors. So 3 groups that we market to, which brings value in for your clients. So my team is my team, and they're not like on the street or whatever. They work with me. They're cross-trained in everything we do. And so you're getting a team that's insured and bonded and trained when you come forward. So we're kind of like a one-stop shop for you. And what's nice about you guys as agents is you can kind of hand it off and you'll know exactly what's happening. And I mean, your customer is my customer is your customer. And our goal is to have them tell everybody about you and me, and so that they have a good experience, okay? So I'm gonna get some of these, I'm gonna fly through. So the next couple pictures are designed to show you when you walk into these homes and it's a lead for you to sell the house, you just need to know that we'll handle it, okay? So like this, and all of these are houses we've done. So like this house, I mean, this was just one room of probably a 2,000 square foot ranch out. They used to grow birds in this little corner right here. So you can imagine the smell in here. And the parents hadn't lived there in probably 3 years, so it had been cooped up for a while. So it's pretty fun. But this does not show the home as an asset that somebody would buy, because your buyers will walk in and go, this is so much work. And that's wasted your time of showing them a house, and you're getting commission on the house, and you're like, oh my God, it's not, it's just not there. So this is another house where you just, and these pictures are kind of hard to see in here, but I mean,
turn the light out.
yeah, we can turn it up. It won't, yeah, does that help?
I think so.
So, I mean, it's just, you can't even get in the room, right? So, and these people want to sell their house, and you're like, let me get back to you on that.
I literally saw a listing in Kennesaw that when I was looking online for another client that looked very similar. It was
Yeah.
like a 2-bedroom townhome, and it was full of clutter. I'm like, I do, no offense, but it didn't show it was there.
Yeah, well, and what I will tell you is that,
Right.
what I will tell you is that a lot of what we see, there may be a medical or a cognitive issue or a hoarding issue. And when people have medical or cognitive issues, their house just goes downhill, but it is their biggest asset. And so you're gonna make more money, and your client's gonna make more money if it's cleaned out, not listed like that.
Right.
So let's see. Okay, I mean, this is just going down the stairs in a house. I mean, like, get the personal stuff out, right? Oh my gosh, oh my gosh. So, you know, like I said, nothing scares me, right? I'm actually showing y'all good pictures. This is actually just, oh, this is the garage. This house was, I mean, that was just the garage and the trash in the garage. And the family, and this is one thing that happens. Because the client's gonna call you and say, I've been working and I can't get it done, but I need to sell my house. And sometimes I want to sell my house. Sometimes it's dire need to sell the house. I mean, they've got to do something. But this house was, I mean, we ended up ripping the carpet out before they even listed the house. And that was we got it done. So, I mean, it was 3 or 4 dumpsters and then the carpet, but that's kind of what happened. And it was a gut house. Right, I mean, you sold it, you would sell it as a gut house. Pushing on the wrong button. Okay, here's an interesting, okay, so this looks like a condo, right? It was a condo. This doesn't really show this as the house as the asset either, but you can't judge a book by its cover. So there's probably a picture that'll come up later in this. This was a 1,200 square foot condo. There were 5 dumpsters. There were 3 auctions of 750 lots, grossing $500,000. There was a large coin collection in the house. There was a large shell collection in the house. It turns out that the client who hired me's partner, who had passed away from Alzheimer's, father was a 4-star admiral in the Asia Pacific. So this house was packed full of diplomatic gifts from the 30s and 40s. And inside there were cards from these Asia Pacific leaders. And the bidders, because we ship stuff everywhere, the bidders would say, did you know there's a little card in here in this vase that I bought? And I looked it up and that person, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, yeah, I couldn't publish that in my sale because of the family privacy, but a 1,200 square foot condo, I mean, it generated more than, you know, the value that it was worth, because when we were done, it was empty. But it took a lot of work and a lot of sales value and generated, I mean, a ton of money. And then they sold the condo and it generated $400,000 or $500,000 just in the sale of the condo. So never judge a book by its cover. But again, when you're listing a house, you've got a solution for somebody that can deal with that. Okay, so we're back to that. Okay, so like this is an example from that house of, you know, this was from Bali, hand carved ebony, and this sold, I don't remember what this actually sold for, but I mean, what you see here is this research. That's the kind of research we do on special treasures. And so like when we finally started the project, I told the team, I said, you're gonna walk in and you're gonna think this is Pier 1. This is the stuff from the 40s and 30s in the Asia Pacific that made Pier 1 what it is today. This is the real deal. And we had no idea there was a mint full of coins. People flew in from all over the US to pick up coins that we sold, that were in the house. And the owner didn't even mention those when we first met. So the point I want you to know about this slide is that, again, don't judge a book by its cover, but when we start getting into filming and pushing this stuff online, we do research that then drives value for your owner. And we're also emptying the house so that your owner gets stuff. Okay, here's another thing. We've been asked to clean up after the estate sale person. This is what the estate sale person did. Left the owner trying to sell the house. We found, so I call this, we're willing to do the pretty work and the dirty work. So this, whoever this vendor was that did an estate sale didn't want to do the dirty work. So they left mattresses, stuff. We found 5 rings. We sold another $9,000. And why do you care? Because if you give a resource to your client who doesn't get the job done and they have to go to somebody else, that looks not good on you. Number 2, it is a slower time to get that house sold, right? Because then, you know, then they had to get on our schedule and they had to find somebody and blah, blah, blah. So that's not a knock on anybody else. I don't do that, but it's kind of like, make sure you know you've got people that can do the work that you need to get done, and they'll do everything that you need. Oh, guns, we do guns. So if you're in a home and they've got guns, we sell those. We do a serial number assessment. We give a bill of sale to the client so that they know that on X date, their family was no longer responsible for those guns. So we had one house, we had about 54 guns in there. And so that was a whole separate process. So this is a kind of an eye chart. We're gonna go through all this, but we move people, and I'm gonna talk about that. We will help them declutter, downsize, clean out, get rid of stuff, and we sell all their stuff that they don't want or the family doesn't want. Like, I'm not into like the family can't have stuff that they don't want. So we do these buckets, and I don't want you to have to try to read that, but it's there, and I'm happy to send the stuff out. Okay. Let's see, I skipped too fast there. Okay, so in the relocation component, we do a space plan, a space match. If you're downsizing people, you got to get them not to take too much furniture. They got to know how much closet space they're going to have. We have a plan. So we plan, pack, we move it, and then we unpack and we put it together. So when the person walks in, they're like, look at what you did with all my pretty stuff. Okay, so this woman, it's interesting. This little woman's had 3 of these bird things. We got her down to 1. There's another picture later, you'll see all her teapots. She had 400 teapots. We got her down to 1, about 60 teapots. So that's this is mostly our moving business. So when your clients are like, I need to move, we do that. Okay, pack, move, unpack. So when we're selling stuff, what you see here is we're taking pictures, and I'm going to show you a little bit more about that. They wanted to throw this out, all these little vintage toys, they sold. When we're in a house, after we film stuff, and this says organized for COVID safe pickup because we're worried about distancing and stuff. We label everything after we filmed it so that when clients come to pick it up in 3 to 4 hours, the house is empty. Okay, so because we get 98% pickup, 98% list. And so that's kind of what that looks like. So you'll see a house go from clutter to organized. Looks like I tell people it looks like a distribution center. A lot of packing moving out. Oops. Okay, this becomes important for you because I give everybody a timeline. Okay, it's an executable timeline. So I'll look in a house and I'll say, it's going to take us 2 weeks to film everything that's in this house. We're going to go online for 7 to 9 days. Then we're going to close the auction down. We're going to make payment. We're going to have a pickup. I'm going to get it deep cleaned. And the next line on here is always pictures. You come in and take pictures. So when I give a timeline, we stick to that timeline. Okay, that's important because you can plan what you need around that, and you know when you're going to market. I have had houses where the family didn't get anything done, and it's 2 weeks before closing, and the real estate agent is calling me and saying, well, just tell me you'll do the work, he'll pay you, tell me you'll do the work. I'm like, I'm not giving you a timeline until I know it is executable and I can meet everybody's commitments. Your closing commitments, I have to live by. If you don't have well, you're closing on Monday, but you have 2 weeks to vacate the house afterwards, which some families are doing now. Like those dates are hard dates for me. So I won't just quote work if I can't do it, if my team's on 8 other projects and you've got a timeline to commitment. I'll tell you that up front. And this agent, this was a couple of years ago, she's like, no, you just got to tell me because he's fixing to cancel the contract. The seller was, and there was stuff going to him, her, his pod, her pod, sell it, and then storage for when he found another house. It was pretty crazy. Probably 8,000 to 9,000 square foot home when you include the basement. It was packed. Sometimes, same timeline, sometimes we will move things to storage. Okay, and we'll run the auction pickup out of storage. The reason we do that typically is, you know, like the client hadn't done anything and closing is next week. And they hadn't done anything, you know, or some other company backed out. I'm gonna charge to move them to storage, but I do try to get flexible and come up with solutions so that helps you continue your closing. So that's kind of why I had that picture in there. Okay, so this was the first picture that we had where we showed you an empty house. Oops. So when we come in and do a clean out, these are our phases of work, and there's 5 phases. So we're looking at what is sellable, not sellable. We are creating sellable lots based on local and national trends. We are filming the lots. We are launching the auction and advertising. We go out to target collectors, and then we're closing auction, getting payment, pickup. We ship to anywhere from 5 to 20 states after each auction, just because our reach is so far, but we get that out of the house and then we deep clean. So whenever I'm looking at a house, I'm looking at what is the work to be done? How many team members do I need? How many days is it going to take? I don't do the work for free. Nobody's going to come in and get rid of that and say, oh, they'll just take a commission. They're not going to get it done for you. So I do have components of fixed fees and commission based on whatever the work to be done is. So those are the phases. I'm gonna walk you through those. Okay, so I mean, sellable versus not sellable. So I deal with chemicals, paint, worn and torn furniture, broken moldy items, outdated food, whatever needs to be dealt with. That's the ugly work, right? We'll bring in the dumpsters, we flip the dumpsters, we load the dumpsters. I mean, sometimes I've got houses that need 5, 6, 7 dumpsters, and you know, you got my team loading stuff out that's been broken and sitting there for years, and you can't sell it when it's there. We do shredding. So what I tell every client is the shredding goes in back of my truck. I do not delegate it. And I go and watch it being shred. So I go to a commercial shredder, they're in Alpharetta, and they know when I walk in, I'm gonna stand there and watch them do their work, because I've committed to clients that I will watch it being shred. So that's, and we just charge by the pound, whatever we're charged. Okay, so let's see, creating sellable lots. So we already talked about this example. I won't go there. I mean, that, you know, the research is part of this, right? Okay, this is a woman who, this one actually hasn't gone live yet. It was filmed in January. It's in a house that has 3 auctions coming out of it. And the husband died of COVID, and 3 days later, the wife died of COVID. And so the power of attorney and executor for the wife is having to go through legal challenges because the man died 3 days before. And so they're just making sure all of the paperwork is in place with any estranged of his family members. And then it's ready to go live, right? Because we filmed it in January. We're just kind of waiting on the legal system right now. We did his, hers, and communal in this house. So there will be 3 auctions because she has a significant jewelry collection. They have a significant car collection. They have a house full of furniture. He has a significant watch collection. So we did his, hers, and theirs. And so when we have legal authority to move forward, we will push the button, it'll all go live, and then we'll deep clean the house, and then it'll go on the market. So this is an example of just some photos of sellable lots. Okay, so I show this because people think, oh, you're just going to take a picture. Well, we pull everything in the house and we create these based on what we're seeing locally and nationally. So this is what we would call a cover shot, but we show lots of detail because people will buy from this online, right? And so we take 10 to 15 pictures of each lot. This is just a few of them showing the detail. I mean, this pin set sold for like $400 or $500, you know? Okay, this one was in a previous picture. So it's labeled, it's ready to go online. I mean, it's online, it's just waiting for us to close the auction out. Same thing here. This family, we moved to Tampa, Florida. And so this was some of the remaining furniture, but you see all the labels on it? That means we've filmed it. That means we've cut that blue tape on that, or means we've covered off it's empty. Because when we come in and deep clean, we clean inside the empty cabinets so that when you start showing the house, it's ready to go. So, I mean, all of this was just waiting on the auction to show up. When we launched, we marked it 3 tiers. We have 7,000 local followers, 540,000 national, and then we go out to collectors based on what we find in the house. So you're going to see estate sale people say, oh, well, we're going to have 100 cars. Well, I've already, just in my first push, I'm way over that. And I'll get on a small auction, probably 6,000 to 8,000 page views. On a larger auction, 35,000 to 45,000 page views. So that's people shopping online. We do small auctions, large auctions. We'll do concurrent auctions in a house. The market determines value. We don't price anything. So the reason this is important to you is you may be in a house where the family's moving out and they're taking most of the stuff. We'll do a small auction. You may be in a small house and we'll do a small auction. So we try to come up with a solution for everybody. For those of you new in the business, you will see some estate sale companies, they won't deal with it unless they think they can make a certain amount of money. And they tell that to clients. And so I'm always in going, oh my gosh, I'm going to try to create a solution for you because you're trying to sell your house. It's not about me and how much money I make. It's about providing a solution to you in the community. So this is a report you get the next day after you've sold everything. You don't get this in a estate sale. So this is just a snapshot. This auction had 200 lots, 23,000 total page views. It grossed $19,000. This is just one page of some of the lots, their SKU number, showing paid, how many views it had, how many bids it paid, what the sales value was, what the sales tax was. I deal with all the sales tax. So full transparency, day after closing. There's no funny math in it. So when we're closing the auction, I always tell people we sell 98% of what we list. We collect 99% of what we sell. We schedule a 3 to 4 hour pickup day, and we have appointments every 5 minutes. And I bring my moving team into the house. I don't let people in the house. They don't respect the floor. They don't respect the walls. And that makes it harder for you to sell the house if there's things that happened in the house. And then we do the deep clean. So floors, baseboards, ovens, fridge, bathroom, kitchen, fans, window sills, inside cabinets. We will broom sweep garage and basement, but everything else we're doing a very deep clean. Oh, here's our, this is a teapot lady and the bird lady. So she had in her house like 1, 2, and then like 3, 4, 5 just of teapots. And she had about 4 of these just as birds. I mean, you know, moved her to Hilton Head and then sold a bunch of stuff. And they're treasures, right? So this is part of her after effect. See, we got it down to 1. It's still beautiful. This is the bird stuff right here. Still beautiful, but she has her favorite, her treasures. And so she can remember her treasures, but she didn't spend a fortune moving all of that and packing it when she was moving to Hilton Head. Everybody's treasure is different too. Okay, so we help people simplify. So I did a couple corporate moves in my career, and we had the unpacking team come in. All they do is unpack. They don't put anything away. When we pack, move, unpack in our relocation business, it looks like this or that. That's a bed going up or that. So it's real peaceful and calm. And you guys know, I mean, you're a psychologist just like I am. It's a stressful thing that people are going through. And so we try to make it really simple. I mean, this one's ready for living, right? This is a family we've moved twice. Okay, so every client gets a timeline. That's another thing that helps you kind of organize resources and you know when to engage. You're not sitting there worried about when's all this stuff gonna get done? Because my client's not getting it done. Okay, so that's it. So, like we said when you started, I'll get the answer to you for that, right? That's kind of what we do. We put our arms around the clients with you, and we go in and figure out everything they've got to do so you can sell the house. And every project's a little different, but has a lot of the same foundational associates with it. We don't paint. We have ripped out carpet. But that's kind of a little bit about what we do. So what kind of questions do you guys have?
Do you, hoarding, do you deal with people who are hoarders?
Yep. Yep. But so hoarding is a disease.
Yes.
Okay. And there's a scale of 1 to 10. What I tell clients, and this has nothing to do with hoarding, is you can't be in the house when we're doing the work. Okay, and especially with somebody who has a hoarding issue. We're in because they can't go there with you. It's not safe. I mean, if I bring a team of people in, they are scurrying around, packing, running, loading, doing this, doing that. So it's not safe for most people. But we have, I mean, we're in a hoarding house right now that we just started yesterday, and you know, the house is in Buckhead. It's a bulldoze. It was under contract in February, and we created a plan because the woman, has some type of dementia, and it has hallucinations, and she told me she has hallucinations, so that's why I feel like I can say it.
It's so sad.
It's very sad. Their contract fell through, and then 4 months later, I get a call from an agent. He says, well, hey, I hear we have a mutual client. And I said, well, who are you talking about? He said the name, and I said, oh yeah, I got a plan for them, but you know, until they sell their house, I mean, they're not ready, because we needed to move some stuff first and then clean out the house. He goes, oh, well, I brought them a contract. I was not allowed in the house. So he's got the listing contract. He's got the buyer. It's under contract and he sold it. He goes, but they told me they're using you. And I said, okay, great. Well, let me reach out to him. The man had had a stroke that night. And so I went to pick up a check in Grady ICU because they found brain lesions. So I said this earlier, it's like these houses sometimes get this way because there are medical or cognitive issues, which is separate from the hoarding issues. But in this house, there is a hoarding situation as well. And so we just try to help people through that because they can't help that they have a medical situation or a cognitive situation, dementia, Alzheimer's, whatever. But we're trying to give a path to help. So yes is the answer, long-winded answer.
How did you help that lady whittle down her teapots from all of them to whatever? Like, obviously she had to be in the house with you then, right?
So we have a little bit of that when we're sorting. So so if you go back to, I'm gonna go back. So this is moving. This is downsizing, selling, cleaning out. So in the moving process, we said, let's get your floor plan for your new home. Let's plan out your furniture. You can't fit 4 curios of teapots. So where can we put 1 or 2? So we had that in that we actually do a space plan with them. And we said, okay, now we know how many curios we're gonna have. Your job is to tag the ones that will fit in there. And so that's what she did. That was her homework. And then we packed it. And then, you know, we put it together. I mean, that's one. The house, I mean, we moved her from probably 4,000 to 2,500 square feet, right? So that was how we did that in the pre-planning process. And then we packed and got everything on the way to South Carolina, and then we did the sale. So she had picked her favorites. And she had them in every closet. She had them in these curios where people could see them. And so we knew how many curios we were going to use. Cause we had worked with that on her, and then she picked her favorites to go in. And then we packed them, so that was how we did that.
Do you
So-
have an office of caring transitions in the state of Indiana, by chance?
I probably, you know, all I need is a zip code and I can search it and look it up, and then I call and make the connection. So I do a lot of state to state stuff with people, and it kind of helps us, you know, movers and clean outers connect and have our own different language. Absolutely. Yeah, that's just got my number on it and everything, so yeah. So we do that all the time. So. Yeah. Yeah. Any other questions? Thoughts? Is this helpful?
I have, when you're finished with the class, I'd like to talk to you.
Okay, yep.
And do you have a card?
Yeah, I brought in brochures, but I have cards
Oh,
too.
brochures. Okay.
Whichever one you want.
I take pictures of cards.
There you go, take a picture.
Thank you.
Okay, no more questions?
I'm gonna take an extra brochure though.
You can have as many as you
Yeah,
want.
And I
Yeah.
talked to a girlfriend of mine the other day, and she was talking about literally a house in her neighborhood. She's like, I think it just needs to be bulldozed, like someone recently passed away, an adult child having to come in and start the process.
And I deal with a lot of adult children that are in another state.
Mhm.
And I'm like, we do that all the time. Like, a lot of times people call and I'll say, well, is there a lockbox or a garage code? I'll swing by it and I can give you a quote. Sometimes they've already got their agent, and the agent, you know, has called and said, hey, let's go look in and see how to help them. So, you know, they're off mourning and, you know, trying to get back to their daily life, and yet they've got this asset to deal with. And so we come up with plans like that all the time. So, yeah, y'all can, I mean, it's just kind of what I picked up to bring in. So, and like I said, yeah, I mean, I've got cards if you want cards. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, actually, give me a couple cards too, and then I can
Got
always
that.
include one of these.
Everyone got on me, and I've got one on my truck, so.
I'm not gonna have
Yep.
that. Absolutely.
There you go.
Awesome, thank you.
Yep. So, good. Well, good, then, let's see, I don't know how to stop recording, do I? And again, I mean, the goal of this was just, hey, it's just, you guys need resources, I'm a resource,
Right.
and so you kind of know what we do, and then, you know, I'm happy to meet with you and the client, I'm happy to meet with just the client and pull you out of it, I mean, we do all kinds of things, so. Okay, stop.
This is fantastic. Thank you for coming in.
Oh, absolutely. Okay.
Do you want me to call Billy at the front desk to?
Well, usually Kimberly will come in.
I can text her.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, you may have it.
It's me.